It's good you hear from two sides. That is something I got to understand from the P Square story that is trending out on social media. Remember that Mr. P came out to give his own explanation of what is happening in the camp of P Square and why they will never come together and other things. After Rude Boy went on a radio interview to say that Mr. P actually called EFCC on them, and that is really an interesting story right now. So a lot of people went into the story blaming out Jude Okoye, their senior bros, in the whole story. Right now, Jude has explained his part, and a lot of people are beginning to understand the trend of the story. I got some takes on this kind of story because it's good you listen to the parties involved in this kind of story before making your own opinion and drawing conclusions on certain things. The first thing I understand from the story is, yes, it's good to hear from both sides before, making your own judgment about a particular case, just like the P Squares, Jude Okoye, and those trending now on social media. A lot of people are beginning to understand that uh, Jude is not really much at fault in the whole story. That is what some people are saying. While some other persons are still blaming out Jude, some people are still blaming out Mr. P in the whole story. I kind of understand that this issue is about money right now. So a lot of people are getting the full jack of the story at the time. From the story I understand about Jude in his own explanation, I don't think any money was actually stolen without the knowledge of Peter. That is something I got to understand. A lot of people can still understand it with me after watching a live Instagram video of Mr. Jude Okoye explaining a lot of things about what has really happened in the P Square's mansion. A lot of people can really lay it out, bare and get to understand, what, Mr. Jude, Mr. Peter, and Mr. Paul, you guys need to work around it. And according to Mr. Jude, he said, yes, the family has actually intervened in the whole story, but Mr. Peter not listening to anybody. And he said that they have two elder brothers. These people have actually tried to bringing them together and having something to do with it, but somehow Mr. P not listening to anybody. That is what Mr. Jude is saying about the whole thing. If you've watched the video, put your own opinion in the comment section so that we can know and understand your own take on the story of the P Squares. Yes, Jude was dragged to the EFCC and only his account was really touchlighted, and that is something interesting about this whole thing. And Jude has come out to say, you know what, I am filing a petition against P Square, that is Paul and Peter right now. That is something interesting about it, and they are going to look into their account also to understand that P Square's money has been going into their account. That is what Jude has said about all of this, because you can't be looking at my own account and then keeping your own, because the same money going into my own account is still going into your own account. And he brought out some kind of evidence to back up his story, and that a lot of people are now believing his own side of the story because of the evidence he brought out. According to Jude, he said he was waiting for EFCC to do or conclude their investigation before coming out to speak before now. When he does that, a lot of people are going to say that because EFCC don't clear you now you can't get out to talk. When EFCC never clear you, you don't get out to talk, and he decided to come out with his own truth. But some people are blaming out Jude without even watching or getting to listen to what he said, and that is really, really unfair to him. But I believe that Mr. P should ask himself, is Jude acting outside their contract agreement, or that is something, or their MOUs? That is something he needs to ask himself. If Jude is acting outside it, you can address that in court. But from the whole story of Jude, I got to understand that he has not acted outside the contract. That is what I got to understand. Maybe some people are hiding a lot of things from us, but based on his own explanation and some of these documents he brought out, you will understand that he is not acting outside the P Squares. Yes, according to the MOU, according to the contract, Jude is supposed to get 40% of P Squares, and then Peter and Paul, they are to share the remaining 60% equally. That is something I got to understand about the whole thing. And a lot of people are saying that Jude is too greedy on this. When P Square started, nobody was ready to invest in them, because I listened to one of their songs where they spoke about all of this. And Jude Okoye, according to the story we got, this man actually sold his car and sold a lot of things, invested the money in P Square. They went to Lagos together, and this guy has been behind P Square. Are you saying that he does not deserve to actually get something from P Square? Because we understand the conventional contract being signed by a lot of people is always like 70-30. Are you saying that Jude does not deserve 40%? That is the question I'm really asking. But based on my own opinion and based on what he has invested in P Square, I think Jude Okoye deserves that 40%. The likes of Mr. P is not really comfortable with Jude getting 40% based on my own observation of their own stories. That is something I got to understand. I got to also understand from this story of Jude Okoye that Mr. Rude Boy, that is Paul, is investment wiser than Mr. P. That is something I got to understand, because he drew our attention to something that Mr. P spent over $100,000 to get engagement gift for his wife. And the same Rude Boy got that money and invested it. And that is why you will understand that when you check the Google, when you check the rating right now, Mr. Rude Boy or Mr. Paul is one of the richest Nigerian music artists based on the investment he's done with the share of his money from the P Square. I want you to listen to this first.
Saying that me and Paul were sharing monies without giving him his own share. He now pointed out where there was an account where Paul had $100,000 and there is none for him. Another place where Paul had $150,000, there was none for him, and one of whatever. Then I was like, okay, let me go and look at it and find out what, because it's been like, that was 2013 and 2014. I said, let me go and check it. That was over 10 years ago. 2-3 days later, I came back with my defense, and I was like, this $100,000 he's complaining about was exactly the same day he got engaged to his girlfriend, then girlfriend, now wife. He bought a Range Rover for her, same day, same time. Paul did not buy Range Rover for anybody. He said, Jude, put my own in my own account, and I did that. Why are you calling EFCC on me to come and explain what Paul is doing with $100,000 in his account when you use your own to buy a Range Rover to engage your wife? Same day. The second one of $150,000 was on the middle of January 2014. You told me you wanted to buy a Bentley. I gave you $200,000. Paul said, I'm not buying a Bentley. Put $150,000 in my account and send me $50,000 to go to America to catch fun with. And now you are asking me to come to EFCC to come and explain why Paul has $150,000 in his account and you don't have yours. Paul has $150,000 in his account, you had a Bentley. The thing was so annoying, so frustrating, that I am now the person that has to be explaining what your memorable times, periods are supposed to be for you. Am I supposed to be the one to remind you of when you engaged your wife with a Range Rover? That was when Paul had his money. The data is very clear there. Am I supposed to be the one to tell you that you bought a Bentley? You bought a Bentley, Paul did not buy a Bentley. That's why Paul had $150,000 in his account. Now, I am now heading the EFCC to come and be explaining that I'm giving Paul that amount, then I'll go behind and share it with Paul. Now, all those accusations now, when there was one again that he held very dear, very little amount, 25,700. That's why he got Jason Njoku involved or something. That there's when money got into our account, 25,700 and something $1,000, that me and Paul within 4 hours or whatever came and split the money in half. Yeah, it was true. I saw it. And I was wondering, why would 25,000 something get into our account and me and Paul will share the money into two immediately? Then I was like, okay, let me go and investigate. And I went back and I checked. And lo and behold, there's an email that Peter wrote to Iroko telling them that they should split the money into three and send him his own, because P Square is having issues and he doesn't want the money to be put in our general account. Jesse now wrote an email saying, okay, gentlemen, after discussing individually with the three of you, this is how the money is going to be shared. Jude plus Paul, $25,750. Peter, $12,850. Peter's money was sent to him directly. Jude plus Paul's money was now sent to Northside Entertainment account, which he now saw in the account and picked it out and said, this is the evidence that Peter, Jude and Paul are sharing money behind his back. This thing happened in 2016, and EFCC is holding me, asking me, interrogating me on that to explain. What am I trying to say? Everything about this EFCC thing is just mind-boggling and crazy.
Guys, what can you tell from this kind of story? I want you to put your own opinion in the comment section. If you've watched the video, put your own opinion in the comment section, because some people are coming out to blame out Jude in the whole story, but he has given his side of the story that the conflict of P Square is beyond him. He has tried to reconcile them, but a lot of people are still blaming him for the conflict, and he stayed away. A lot of people are still blaming him for that kind of conflict, and that is what he said in a recent live story that is said about this P Square of a thing. I'm getting to understand a clearer picture of it. You know why Mr. Paul is really better than Mr. Peter investment wise is because he has always listened to Jude in this whole story. That is something I still got to take out from this whole story that is always kind of going viral on social media. In the story of Mr. P, he said he has made more money than he made with P Square. That I got to understand from the story of Jude, that right now what is really happening is that before, when you earn money in the name P Square, within three of them, you bring out the money and share it according to the formula. But right now, a person of Mr. P decided to hold back and not sharing his own revenue from the P Square's brand, and that is really disturbing at the time. So everybody decided to keep their own, and that made Mr. P to earn much money, and Mr. Jude is still earning much money, and Mr. Paul is still keeping his own part, and that is making them richer at the end of the day. I want you to listen to this also.
Secret company. My people, the secret company is none other than Northside Music Entertainment. I signed Cynthia Morgan with Northside Music Entertainment. All Cynthia Morgan videos has Northside Inc. in it. How is it a secret company to Peter all of a sudden in 2024? No, I want to understand. How is Northside Music that has a CAC certificate registration since 2015? How is Northside Music?
Now, I hope you are getting to understand the big story and getting not to confuse yourself with the whole thing, just to blame out somebody because you don't really like the person of Jude or Mr. P, Rude Boy, or anybody in the whole story. But we have to, stick to the truth of this whole story. And I pray that EFCC actually do their work better at a time like this. I really got to understand that, Mr. P actually mocked a person of Rude Boy with his marriage crisis. I think that is not a better thing to do. That is something I got to understand in this whole story. And when you're doing that, to your twin brother, is really, really absurd, and that is not cool at all. Also, based on the recent post of Cynthia Morgan, she is still angry about her failed career in the hands of Jude to an extent because of the conflict they had. That is something I got to understand, because a lot of people are now giving her side a push and saying that Jude is to be blamed in this whole thing because Cynthia Morgan didn't succeed with him and all this kind of thing. So you should leave sentiment apart and then follow the story to his true self. That is something I got to understand about all of this. Before I jump off, I want to say thank you guys for watching our videos, and thank you for the love so far. If you are new here, you can click the subscribe button below and the bell notification icon to always get notifications each time we upload our videos.